Let's see what we can do.
All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the Onyx Path Twitch channel, our inaugural stream. I'm a floating head and your dungeon story guide. See? Already fucking things up. I'm Travis Legg. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We are going to run through Aberrant tonight. We're going to do a little story that we're calling Collateral Damage. I have some wonderful guests with me, and we're going to go ahead and introduce all of them and go around. I think we'll go clockwise by my view, which is a little, I think it's almost close to what we're seeing on Twitch if you're watching. So starting with Ashley, why don't you tell us who you are, your pronouns, and a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Hi, I'm Ashley May. You can find me on Twitter as Ashley May Writes. I'm a writer over on the Dungeon Masters Guild. My pronouns are she, her. So, really looking forward to doing some more work with Onyx Path Press. In fact, you're going to see some of my writing in the upcoming Legend lore.
Ooh, fancy. Keep an eye out for that. That I had the pleasure of working on that book as well, and it is going to be awesome. Next up, let's go with James. James, why don't you tell us who you are, your pronouns, and what you do, please?
I'm James. My pronouns can be he and him. I'm the founder of Roll the Roll, which does a lot of OPP stuff, some playtesting for them. So you can catch me there along with my other people. And are we talking about who we're playing or no?
Sure. You can let me know a little bit about who you are playing if you like. Sorry, I'm trying.
No, let's keep it a secret. Yeah.
Right, let's do that. Yeah, let's keep things just between us for the moment. I'm getting some weird flickers here. I'm trying to figure out why. But while I'm trying to figure out why we're getting some weird flickers, Connery, why don't you tell us who you are, your pronouns, and a little bit about you, if you don't mind.
Hey, I'm Connery. I'm the resident GM over at EOC, EIC, editor-in-chief over at Devil's Luck Gaming. And pronouns, literally no preference. I've been called all of them, and I don't care.
That's fair.
I used to have hair down to my lower back, and from behind the confusion happened all the time, and it really... So, we run the Pirates of Bloodwater game, a Scarlands 5e game over on our channel, Double Luck Gaming, on Saturdays, and we have a lot more content coming out too. So
awesome. Next up, Cassandra, if you don't mind, tell us who you are, your pronouns, and a little bit about what you do.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Lee. I am also co-owner of Devil's Luck Gaming, or more lovingly known as Production Mom. I also am a player on the Scarred Lands game that we have, the Pirates of Bloodwater. And pronouns-wise, I don't really care. I prefer they if I get the choice. The ambiguousness fits me well enough.
Beautiful. We will feel free to remind us of that. Dixie, let's go to you next.
That's me.
For the 5 people that might not know who you are, go ahead and tell us who you are, your pronouns,
Hi.
and what you do.
Hi, I'm Dixie. I am the in-house editor on Onyx Path Publishing. I'm in charge of Chronicles of Darkness and Exalted. I've worked on a lot of games. They're super fun. And you can find me online at Dixie Cyanide in most places. My pronouns are she, her.
Excellent. And did I already get James? I already got James, right? Is that everybody? Did I miss anybody? Sorry, I'm doing
everyone.
I'm doing my own tech support, so my brain is a little bit extra
Hey,
jello-y.
man, if you want to give the viewers double James, we can do that.
Yeah, there you go. And I am Travis. My pronouns are he, him. I am the... I don't remember if I have like an actual job title yet. I'm the Grand Poobah, Master of Ceremonies, Dungeon Master of Ceremonies, if you prefer, of the Twitch channel for Onyx Path for the moment, until Rich watches this and then cans me. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm developing Scarred Lands for Onyx Path. I'm the line developer, which is a lot of fun. So I've done the best tech support I could do while other people were doing some work. doing some speaking. Let's see if that reduces some flicker. If it does not, I apologize. I'll try to chase that gremlin down in the future. But let's dive into what we are here to do. Trinity Continuum Aberrant is currently on Kickstarter. It's a game that originated a few years back with White Wolf, and now is wholly owned by Onyx Path Publishing, bringing forth a new edition using the story path system. And so one of the things that we wanted to accomplish, lots of things we're going to try to do over these next couple of days. We're going to have a nice session 0, kind of showcase about how the story path system works and how it really feeds well into the idea of session 0, but also some of it's going to be learning experience. As I noted before, I am the Scarredlands developer. Scarredlands is not a story path game. So I will probably defer to Dixie's wisdom a couple points during this.
Don't defer to my wisdom. I have no head for remembering mechanics. I'm the worst person to defer to.
So
It's gonna be an adventure, guys.
You'd be better off deferring to chat.
After you've backed the Aberrant Kickstarter and you're playing your Aberrant game at home with your friends, and you're tempted to point to collateral damages, this is how the story path system works. Don't do that. And if somebody at your table tries, don't let them. We're going to do our best to stumble through the system and show you how fun it is and how fun it can be, and work things out, and maybe hopefully answer some questions along the way as we're doing this session 0. Then Thursday, we're here again to play. We're going to start blowing stuff up, and the following Tuesday, we will blow some more stuff up. It will be a fun time. Maybe everyone will live. Maybe some of them will live. We'll see where it goes. So to get down to those brass tacks of session 0, we've all had a little bit of a discussion before we got together today, kind of about what our basic premise is. And the basic idea of the game is these fine novas that you see assembled are employees of an insurance company, and their job is basically to deal with damage prevention, loss prevention, and then repairs if needed for specific properties and people when novas get out of control. And that's kind of what we've been working with. I know everybody's got some basic concepts sort of worked together. So I guess the first thing that I would like to touch base on, because it's a session 0, is safety tools, comfort levels, things like that. Now, if you can't tell from the concept, we're aiming at a fairly lighthearted, fairly fun take on Aberrant. Probably not going to be delving too deep into a lot of the darker, more political areas, but we are talking about some things where some violence might occur. We're talking about some things where some disturbing material may be encountered. So first thing I guess I'd like to do is just kind of see where everyone's comfort levels are at, if anybody has any no-go zones that they would like to voice right up front, or any questions about comfort and safety before we go any further.
I'm pretty flexible on these kind of things. I think my complete no-go lines are the ones that I already know Travis has good taste not to cross anyway. So
Kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I would give you a list, but the list would be more disturbing than anything that you're going to come up with.
I'll get rid of the exploding baby. Fine. All right, exploding baby's gone. All right. So.
No, I'm fine with that. I just don't want any sexual violence.
Right.
Whoa, exploding babies are a must-have. What are you talking about?
I was projectile.
This is why you have a session 0. So
power set.
How do you pull the pin on that?
Don't you just remove the pacifier?
I mean, it depends on.
I can see the hate emails coming now to RTR Rin and Roll the Roll. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. If anything during any of these streams bothers you, upsets you, we get something wrong, we mess up, just send your hate mail to Roll the Roll. They'll handle all of it.
You definitely should. I want it.
All right, cool. So, aside from the boundaries of basic good taste, we will stay away from sexual violence. We will stay away from, issues of forcing a situation on any player. Things you would think are basic etiquette, but just to voice that, we will be avoiding that stuff. Beyond that, it's going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll, violence. It's going to be a fun time. I guess the next thing is I tend to defer to an X card style of safety tool, just because it's the one I'm familiar with. So if any of the players have any issues at any point with anything going on during the stream, feel free to just chat me an X or make an X with your hands or say X, and we will stop and back things up. And fade away and adjust the situation accordingly. That's pretty much it for safety tools. See how easy that is? You can just do it, get it knocked out in 5 minutes. Next up would be sort of the basic character concept meshing. And so I know everyone has effectively at least a name, a basic idea of what sort of power suite you wanted. And that's pretty much it, right? Have any of you had a chance to really look into what the paths were and how they work?
We kind of did. We kind of did some basic, like looking at stats and the different paths and stuff. We kind of stopped around the powers because we're like,
There was a lot.
There are a lot of powers, and that's one of the things that I do want to stress as we're getting ready to do this Aberrant thing. Everything that's come out for StoryPath pre-Aberrant has what one might call a generous but not massive power suite, right? Your Scions kind of have a lot of choices, but it's not anything that might be in danger of overwhelming. Aberrant, at the end of the day, is a superhero game, so there's a whole lot of room. You can sort of get paralysis by analysis, I should say. So absolutely, having a time as you're sitting down to prepare to look through this big, massive list of powers, it's really good if you can have some kind of a concept of what type of power suite you'd be looking at. So I guess to that end, there's a lot of love going on in the chat for Dumpster Fire's Nova name, by the way, which I agree with. I think it's a pretty solid name. For those of you who are completely unfamiliar with Aberrant, it is a superhero setting, and there are a number of Novas who adopt sort of the, I guess, tropes of superheroism and, costumed adventuring. Even if they're not a quote-unquote superhero, a lot of them will take a Nova name. They'll have a superhero-esque sort of costume. It's all just kind of part of the way that society has started to shape with the rise of Novas. So I did ask each of the players to come up with a Nova name. And so I guess let's go ahead and dive into what those Nova names are and what those power suites are. I think that'll be a good next place. And by all means, players, during session 0 and any time at all during the campaign, feel free to interrupt me. Feel free to, if you have a question, if you have something that you want to bring up, if there's something I'm missing. We're all, it's more fun if everybody gets their ideas out. So if you need to tell me to shut my mouth for a minute so you can get a word in edgewise, do so. So let's start with, as much as I love Dumpster Fire, I want to start with Dixie, with Liminal, partially because I'm very intrigued by that name. So can you tell me a little bit about Liminal and about the power suite you had in mind?
Yeah, so one thing that is really cool about Aberrant is that you can pretty much make any existing superhero if you want. So you can make your version of whatever your favorite superhero is for the most part. There are a couple of changes and restrictions, but we can get around them. So my favorite superheroes are mostly the women of the X-Men of the early 90s, because that's when I was a child. So I was like, okay, I want to make Jubilee, I want to make this, I want to make that. And then I kind of settled on kind of a Scarlet Witch, Kitty Pryde mashup. So I want them to have some of the manipulation and maybe some of the telekinesis powers of Scarlet Witch, but I also wanted a phasing ability, which you can totally do in this game. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm going with her. And as far as her personality, I'm thinking very young, bubbly, new employee, first day on the job, super excited. I just got made the admin for this office. I'm gonna do such a great job.
Beautiful. I love it.
It's fun to play enthusiasm.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I appreciate you bringing it to the table. Ashley, let's touch base on Ghost. Ghost is the Nova name you've chosen. Let's tell us a little bit about Power Suite and basic ideas.
Power Suite is still something that I'm hammering out a lot. Like you said, there's just this huge wealth of information, all these different possibilities, and there was a little bit of overwhelming stuff there. But on that note, one of the things that I was really drawn to was the concept of overwhelming denial is one of the abilities, and it's basically this idea of your character has this presence that other people want to reject. They just kind of go, their mind doesn't click when they see you. They want to look away and they have a hard time remembering your character. I thought that was such a cool concept. And I don't even know if we'll build to the point of getting to that level, but I love that concept. So personality wise, I'm kind of picturing her as this type that's like, just call me when you need me. Don't involve me if it's not work. Just kind of this more kind of in the background, like, I don't want to be involved. So that's my concept for Ghost so far, and I'm hoping to iron out a lot more of it this evening.
I dig that. I dig that a lot. And with an office environment, I think that we'll have plenty of time to explore how that particular power suite might affect you. You know, like when payroll forgets you exist, that sort of thing.
Try so hard to be nice to you, but I'm going to feel so bad when I keep forgetting your name.
Just a quick note. Somebody in chat had said, please tell us how to build a power suite. We will get into that kind of as we go. So part of this, when I say power suite, I'm not necessarily referring to a in-game term so much as just a general concept of what your powers would be. Because we have such a massive list of powers in Aberrant, it's a good idea to sort of figure out, like, well, I kind of want to be able to do this, and then look against the list to see what you can make fit, if that makes sense. And so carrying on, now let's get to the star of the show, Dumpster Fire. You know you got the big target on you now because chat likes you, so I'm going to have to just do something terrible.
Yeah, Dumpster Fire was actually the concept for the name that he can't shake. He wants to be called Heavy Rescue because he is the absolute unit of the crew. He's the big lad. He always wanted to be in the fire department, but they would never let him join because he was too big. So when he found out, his Nova traits started showing, that was his time to be the hero that he always wanted to be like the fireman that he always wanted to be. He's, aside from just being large, he has a unique trait where he has a mouth on his stomach that has a pocket space inside of it that kind of holds things in stasis when he puts it in there. So he goes into fires and dangerous situations and literally eats people into his stomach, runs them out and vomits them. He can also do like debris removal by just cramming rocks and rods and things into his stomach, running out to some empty space and then just horfing it out of his chest onto the ground. I went nutty with the concept.
You win.
And we were worried about exploding babies, everyone.
Right.
So he wants to be called Heavy Rescue, but the firemen at the station that he wanted to join just called him Dumpster Fire. And it's kind of he still wants to be called Heavy Rescue, but he's too nice of a guy to kick a name. Kind of like, hey, just let you know, Heavy Rescue. And even the news is like, Dumpster Fire here, just saved 17 people. Heavy Rescue. He's a bit of a quiet guy, so.
I love it.
I don't care if the world is falling down around us. You don't get to swallow me to save me because you'll forget to spit me out again.
Why does my stomach hurt? Oh.
Like 3 days later, just this desiccated, starved corpse falls out. Where did that come from? Yeah, apparently there is in the manuscript a term called Power Suite. And see, there's so much I didn't notice that. But yeah, basically it's an array, I think is what they called it in first edition. So forgive me if I make a few first edition foibles as we're going around, by the by. So next up, Cassandra, tell us a little bit about. Is that fwa fwa? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, it's actually the word that means light and fluffy. It could describe a pancake or it could describe a cloud. More of a descriptor word. I was thinking of actually playing into the idea of the light and fluffy and maybe seeing there was an elemental mastery, I believe, which you could have in that suite, a focus on gravity. And I like the idea that gravity could be very much a support, like lifting things, or a little more aggressive if needed. And that duality, I think, was definitely something I wanted to play with for the character in the, like, I'm going to ask really nicely, and I would like it if you did this thing for me, but if I have to tell you to do it, like that swap duality.
I love it. I think that's beautiful. And lastly, we've got Enterprise being played by our friend James Perry. Tell us where this Nova name came from.
So Enterprise was just a normal covert government kind of guy. And if you've ever been in the military, you know you don't get to pick your nickname ever. And the more you hate it, the more it sticks and gets used until eventually you just have to embrace it. So when his Nova powers of speed and warp kind of manifested or became a thing, and he could go great distances and take other people great distances or move himself very fast, it started as kind of, oh, you're Enterprise because of the starship uses warp. And then it got more jokey as in, no, you're like the rental car agency Enterprise. And he really just wants to be Commander Henry, but he gets to be Enterprise, and he doesn't like it at all.
I love it. And so in discussing these power suites, we found out not only kind of like what types of powers you would like to have, but a little bit about who you are as people, which is helpful. The character creation, going to like its most basic level, the story path system relies on paths. Specifically, there are 3 paths in Trinity Continuum that you refer to as you're creating your character. I'm going to screw these up, I'm sure, which is why I'm opening a nice printed out. I'm showing my age. I have a nice printed out binder full of my Trinity materials. So we have our concepts kind of nailed out. The paths, you have your origin path, which is your background, kind of where and how you got started, where you're from. The role path is your occupation or area of expertise. And the society path is the connection that you have with a larger organization. For the purposes of speeding things along and just making things as efficient as possible, I would suggest that everybody take the, I believe it's Elites is the society path. And that's one of the paths that's sort of predetermined in the Aberrant book to represent Novas who, you know, are effectively mercenary working for hire. And that can be anything literally from like a military mercenary who's out fighting wars to somebody who's like a hired bodyguard, or in your case, what's a good term we should use for this? I guess enhanced insurance adjusters would be. So, and when you select those paths, if you look that up, I don't know offhand what page it's on in the manuscript.
To me, it looks like page 43 of chapter 4.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that should have your the benefits you get from the elite path. And each of your paths that you choose gives you access to a couple of different stat elements for your character. It'll show you, it'll give you 4 skills, a basic idea of what the path does, a community contact, and edges that are associated with the path. And so those should all be sort of broken out in the elite path once you look at it. There's also there's some sample origin paths as well in the Trinity character creation materials that I believe I sent to you. And the reason the paths are set up that way, you can customize them as well. I don't know if any of us are going to really dive into customizing paths right now because of time mainly. But you can go through there in the system and you can decide none of these paths really fit. I want to play somebody who's from X, Y, or Z background, and so you still get to choose like 4 skills that make sense, a couple of edges that make sense, so on and so forth. So yeah, for society, I would say it would be elites. Have any of you been given a chance to look at or given some thought to what your origin paths would be?
I didn't find any specific to Aberrant origin paths, or did I miss those?
The origin paths, I think, are all basically broken out in the Trinity Continuum
Core?
Yeah, the Continuum core.
They're in the core, they start on page like 41, 42.
Yeah, it's chapter 2,
so-
character
Pick
creation.
up anything. It can be like suburbia. It can be military brat. It can
Which
be...
is, yep, military brat was where I went, so.
Yeah, I think there's one in there for a military brat.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I went with suburbia.
I love it.
I think I did life of privilege. We were trying to vary, make sure we didn't.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Cool. Ashley, did you find one?
I'm leaning in the direction of survivalist.
Beautiful. And Dixie?
I had also done suburbia, but I'm happy to change it.
I don't mind having multiple people of the same origin path, especially because we're using the ones that are just in the book stock. There's not that many that I think we need to really focus on making sure different backgrounds are, are wholly represented in the game.
You can also have a lot of variety, even with similar like stats and stuff, especially because I think everyone has a really good idea about what kind of character they're playing. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that.
And I think the variety really starts kicking in with the tricks and the edges.
Right, which you get kind of a shopping list you can choose from. So if you have had the chance to apply those across when you're purchasing your skills in the Trinity Continuum, you get a certain amount that are assigned by your path choices, and I believe that's a total. I think you get 3 dots from each path, and those have to be spent on the skills of that path. And then you have a total of 6 dots that you can spend wherever you want in skills. So that might allow you to buy some things that might not normally be associated with your paths. So feel free, if you have not yet done so, to go ahead and take care of that real quick. The skills are basically, I think, entirely self-explanatory. Much like they've been in the previous systems. The skills are pretty much what they sound like. But if you have any questions as to what a skill is, by all means, feel free to ask.
So where do I see how many points I have to play with?
It's 3 points for each of your paths.
Okay.
And then you get 6 points that you can spend generally anywhere for skills.
Okay.
So, and if any of your, I know, Connery, you had said that somewhere in the manuscript it indicates that if any of your paths double up on skills, you can always shunt a skill over. One thing that I would suggest doing, just especially if you're looking for expedient character creation, is just to go ahead and spend 2 dots there. You know what I mean? Because obviously the story you're cooking up leans in that direction. It dovetails nicely. But either one's fine. I am utterly neutral on that particular matter. And yeah, those of you that are watching at home, this is session 0. We're doing character creation. We're doing some basic concepting, talking a little bit about some of the basic concepts of the story path system too. So by all means, if you hop in and have a question about how a particular thing works, feel free to ask it in chat. We'll either answer or we'll tell you we don't know, and we'll look for the answer. So, were there any other questions regarding the skill section? Did that make sense?
This was one of the things that we took care of in our study session.
At like 6 a.m.
Well, I appreciate that. That saves us some time. And did you take care of your edges as well?
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, I think we have 4 remaining edges that we figured we could pull.
Well, that's the finishing touches
Yeah.
part. We took care of the path edges and what you get with your paths.
Right. Cool.
We basically got up the powers and we're like, man, we're gonna hold off here.
Look at the Devil's Luck Gaming people being the overachievers of the group. Who knew?
Sweats.
I love it. I appreciate it.
I was making a character this afternoon, and then I was told this session was character creation, so I didn't have to. So, like, I was literally making a character.
I'm not calling out anybody that didn't do their extra homework, Dixie.
I wasn't aware there was extra homework. I had a professor in college. I would have done it.
I'm gonna accidentally give Dixie a stroke just in real life. She's gonna.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that we are working on this together because I'm reading the document going, I have read the word quantum so many times, the word has lost all meaning.
Which is funny when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody in the chat say crackers are loud, and I was like, what?
No, if somebody wants to say your character's name again.
Fwafwa?
Yeah. Fwafwa.
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 They didn't know how it was pronounced.
I don't blame them.
I got totally. Yeah, sorry. I got utterly distracted by chat. So while you're working on skills and edges, you get 2 dots to distribute among any of the edges that are associated with your paths. So that means that you'll have 6 dots and edges ultimately that have to come from your path edges as well.
Do you want us, since we pretty much have ours written out, do you want us to give a rundown of what we have?
Yeah, by all means.
2 edges per path and then 4 additional edges?
Right, those extra edges.
So a total of 10, right?
Yeah, come in with the finishing touches part, I believe.
We even took the single skill trick you get and the specialties for anything that's at 3 points.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead and run down what you have while the others are sort of looking through the manuscript. And if any of you have a question, feel free to speak up and.
The people want dumpster fire, honey. Give them the dumpster fire.
Oh, all right, fine. Heavy rescue, as he prefers. So origin-wise, I went with Suburbia. Role, I went with medical practitioner, so like EMS, EMT kind of situation, and obviously society is elites. So that gave me, all said and done, AIM, athletics, close combat, culture, empathy, humanities, integrity, medicine, science, survival, and technology as my path skills. And then after I distributed points, I ended up with 3s in athletics and close combat, 2s in empathy, integrity, and medicine, and then a smattering of 1s into culture, humanities, science, and survival. And because athletics and close combat were at 3, you get a free specialty for every skill that you have at 3. I took for athletics powerlifting, and for close combat grappling because of crisis patience. Essentially, he just knows how to just hold people down so they're not hurting themselves or him.
That makes good sense. Yeah, that's an important skill to have if you're going to be tackling someone who's freaking out.
And the skill trick I took for athletics was no barrier, and basically he gets to treat his scale as 1 higher when trying to barrel through a wall or an imposing obstacle.
I love it.
Anyone who's interested.
I love it. And so, refresh my memory. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you have a specialty in StoryPath, that acts as a enhancement when it applies. Is that correct, or does that act as an extra die?
I think.
It acts as an extra enhancement, but only on skills that aren't that skill. So if you can equate a different skill to using your specialty in the skill, you get an enhancement on that roll. So if I have a specialty in aim, for example, and then I'm using technology to build or fix my pistol, I can use my specialty in aim on that technology roll.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And that's, again, for those of you who might be like brand new to the story path system, generally speaking, you're more prone to get what's called enhancements than you are like a bonus die. And enhancements are extra successes that apply if you succeed on the material roll. So, you know, if you get your success on the dice, then these enhancements pop in and count as extra successes with which you can then buy off complications or buy stunts. So, does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything that gives extra dice. Somebody mentioned in the chat. I really don't. There might be some funky quantum powers that you'll run into in Aberrant, but I haven't dug that deep. There's a lot of powers in this game. A lot of powers.
I think it's mostly enhancement and scale, like.
Yeah, most of it affects enhancement and
Manipulation.
scale. Yeah, and so scale is the other sort of core thing to understand about the system. It allows characters of vastly different power levels to interact with one another in a meaningful way, without it turning into throwing 40 dice to try to simulate, what you can do. So, if you have a scale in might, for example, allows you to lift exponentially heavier weight, things along those lines. And those we'll get into a little bit more too once we get to the actually expending Nova points, or the experience points that you get for being Nova. So on that note, Dixie, Ashley, things making sense on your end?
You're going to hate me for this. I can't read when people are talking, so I'm not sure what
to I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's just like I should have done this beforehand if I had known this was going to be the case. I thought we were going to like collaborate on our characters.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like read it and figure it out, and I'm like, I can't do that while we're talking.
Well, no, that's fine.
That person as well. That's why I like panicked the night before and was like, I'm gonna write some ideas down because I can't math while people are talking. This is not gonna happen.
Well, so I'm just staring at my Word file. That's like an example character that Eddie gave me, and I'm just kind of like.
Well, let's make sure that. Well, let's touch base. So what areas where are you at in the process? What do you need to?
I am trying to figure out which skills I get with my path. Listed.
And you're on. You took Suburbia.
Yeah.
And you took. And you're elite, right?
That's what you told me to do.
What was your third path?
I didn't have one yet. I thought we were making them up together.
Yeah, we haven't discussed roll paths yet.
I guess I don't know.
We haven't discussed roll paths. All right. So for Suburbia, it's on page 43 of the character creation chapter. You would get culture, empathy, humanities, and technology.
Okay, I don't know what file you're using because I only my character creation chapter is 17 pages long.
You have the
or character creation.
I don't have the core anymore. I haven't seen that book in a year.
Should be in the files. Did I send you the files?
No. You told me to get the playtest stuff from Eddie, and I did.
See, this is why it's important to have a session 0 because we'd have been right in the middle of session 1. She wouldn't have had anything.
So I got Aberrant from Eddie. That's all I got.
Oh, let me send you. I'm sorry. I thought you knew that you needed the core. Let me send you.
I'm sorry I sound like an idiot right now, but I'm just trying to do what I'm told.
You're fine. You're fine. This is why we do session 0.
If things went flawless, people would be going, "Oh, they scripted it. They pre-recorded it."
Oh, we're probably going to get that anyway,
Hey, for those of you that are thinking that's really what happened. This is all pre-scripted and pre-recorded. I'm literally reading the script right now. See?
Yeah.
See,
I volunteered to look like an idiot.
It's all in preparation for at Gen Con. when Dixie is going to celebrate the fact that we did unlock the extreme wrestling stretch goal on the Aberrant Kickstarter by running up behind me during an Onyx Path panel and hitting me with a chair. So, make sure you come to all the Onyx Path panels at Gen Con.
So disappointed it's not going to be a German suplex.
I'm not even going to be a Gen Con.
I mean, if you want to...
That's a real surprise. You're telling everyone.
That's what makes
That's
the
why-
run impressive.
Yeah. It's not a run-in if everyone knows you're there because they read the dirt sheets the day before.
I'm going to be sitting in Delaware by myself.
You say that now.
Allegedly in Delaware by herself, guys. Allegedly.
You say that now, and then I get hit in the back with a chair. I just threw in the Zoom chat a link to the Trinity Core character creation document, which should be what you're looking for. And I apologize for that miscommunication.
It's okay. Like I said, I thought we were all walking through it together.
I mean, sorta. You know, this
What?
is.
I've never seen this with layout. What is this? Y'all don't understand. My job is that I get handed a bunch of Word files, and then I hand the Word files back with a bunch of red on them, and then I don't see the book again until it comes out. So, like, I am now looking at something that I have not seen for over a year, and it's got pictures. It's very confusing.
This is why it's very
Looks
vitally.
great.
I'm glad you're liking it. No, it looks beautiful. I really.
You didn't
dig
lay it out. You don't get to be glad.
Okay.
Getting spicy, Dixie, now.
Yeah. No, this is another reason why you should follow the channel, because when we do session zeros, you get to get this biting insight into the behind-the-scenes functions of Onyx Path Publishing.
In other words, you get to see Dixie be done with all of our crap.
No, I love all this. Like I said, I was just confused. I should have at least made a baseline Trinity character before, but I wasn't even thinking about the fact that this book goes off the core.
No, it's all good.
Because like all the other books I've been working on recently are standalone. What?
I got super nervous about 2-hour time frame and didn't want to be I was like, I can't read very fast and I'm bad at math. So I was just like.
It's all good. Well, and let me be 100% clear too. If we don't have finished characters at the end of this, we will finish them off camera. But we want to make sure that we're giving the viewers at least enough to understand the basics and to say, oh man, I want to learn more about that. And if you do want to learn more about that, you can head over to Kickstarter and back Aberrant if you can back it for $1, you'll get access to the full manuscript. I think everything's up right now, or is there a couple more pieces? There might be a couple more pieces that haven't been released yet. But you can take a look. You can test drive it. If you like it, you can back to get the full awesome hardcover. If you don't like it, you can still give us your $1. No, you can back out if you want to, but why would you want to? That'd be sad. Did you were you able to locate the file and get it open, Dixie?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it's on what is written as page 43. I don't know if that's actually page 43 of the PDF. But...
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
I just don't like any of these. I'm gonna make my own because none of these work for the character I'm making.
Oh well, there you have it. Okay. And that's fine. And did you figure out your skills for your origin path, Ashley?
Kind of.
Okay.
So far, I've got points put into aim, close combat, integrity, and survival. And those are probably getting shuffled around as I continue to figure some other things out.
That's fine. Also, just a little tip when you're creating Aberrant characters. You're about to fall into a giant pile of experience points, so don't get too worried about how you spend those initial...
So, question, should I be doing anything with the attributes section right now, or are we going to get to that?
We'll get to the attributes and
skills and edges.
Yeah,
okay.
Get the attributes in just a second.
Which that threw me for a loop.
The reverse of what you're used to seeing.
Yeah, being used to... when I first talked to Matthew about doing this, I had not actually looked at a story path game apart from Scion very, very briefly so that I could write the Deicide Compact, which was my offering that's over at the Story Path Nexus. They needed some launch day material, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll write some antagonists. So I didn't really look, especially the way the antagonist system is rolled out, didn't really look too hard at the rules. So I just kind of assumed, oh, I've been playing, I played Vampire in like, 94 or whatever it was that it came out, this will be falling off a log. No, it's totally different. Put away all your assumptions and pick up the book and read it. It really is very, very different. So
I knew I was in for something when I started seeing words like scale, enhancement, and momentum, and none of those reminded me of any other D10 system I had been playing over the past 20 years. So, okay.
I do like the enhancements conceptually. Obviously, never had the chance to play with them, but the idea of like that guaranteed kind of success seems cool.
very much so.
They're not really guaranteed success. They're additional successes after you succeed.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't screw it up and to be like, well, it's okay, I got these back here.
I think a better word for it would be assurance of quality of success.
Well, that's
There you go. Scale is really cool, though.
I love it.
Scale, I'm still wrapping my head around. I like it. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
So normally your scale is 1. Because we are aberrants, we start with a scale of 3 or a tier 3. So essentially you get 4 successes anytime you go up against a human, just without rolling. If I'm reading that right.
Yeah.
No, our scale is still 1, right?
Nope,
No.
our scale is 3.
As soon as you have a dot of quantum, your scale is 3.
Yeah, everything we do is scale 3. Movement, fighting, lifting, jumping, thinking.
Oh, I thought it was tier 3, just adjusted your difficulty.
Is that
That also happens, but you're a scale 3 character.
Oh,
Meanwhile, I'm just
I-
sitting here.
I
going, Where
believe-
do I put that on my sheet?
Let me triple check that.
you have a core Trinity Continuum sheet.
so my
So
level of
you
chunk
have-
is going to be that much bigger. Okay.
Couple things you'll have to write in on your sheet or just make a note of.
Okay.
Because there is no existing Aberrant sheet, or if there is,
Gotcha.
and somebody didn't give it to me before this stream, I'm gonna cry at them in an email and be like, "Why did you do this to me and my players? Dixie yelled at me. It was awful."
Character sheet is one of the last things that we make when a book is laid out and that book hasn't even been edited yet, so there is no aberrant character sheet that I know of.
We just make
Oh, the
messy
Onyx
Word
path
docs.
says tier is 3, scale is still 1.
Yeah,
Tier
you have
three
the
scale
ability
is
to
still
up
1.
all of that.
Okay.
And we have mega attributes. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's the mega attributes
Right. If you purchase a mega attribute, it jumps your scale
immediately.
as soon as you for that attribute.
Yeah, for
And
that
so
one.
does tier 3 change the difficulty from 8 to 7, or does it go lower?
No, we go to 7.
Go to 7, and then if you go quantum 5, it goes to. Let me do this.
Because I know you can buy into quantum up
Right.
to 5.
Quantum gives you access to more quantum points.
So you can
Right.
do your more frequently.
Yeah,
And then
those that require you to spend quantum, because there are some powers that are just there. And then there are some powers that are like, well, you need to spend quantum, or you need to spend momentum, or you need to spend enhancements after you've gotten the success. There's,
Different costs. Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of resource management. So those of you who like resource management, this game is actually got a lot of that fun stuff. This is why I like counters and like tokens.
Oh, yeah,
when I play shit.
We got a lot of like
Poker chips.
goldfish. Yeah, I was gonna say like goldfish gravel. You know, that weird like, what is this stone used for anything other?
Yeah, there we go.
It should be in the core book as tiers, right?
Well, I know that at Quantum 6 you become Tier 4, but you can't be Quantum 6 at character creation. You can only be Quantum 5.
Yeah.
Unless the story guide says otherwise. Then you can't be 5 or you could be 6.
Ah, okay. So scale and tier, it's on page 75 of the core book. In general, characters are of higher tiers have the ability to also gain higher scale. It's
Okay.
not a one-to-one.
And that's in the Trinity Continuum core?
Yeah, the core rule.
Okay. That explains something. But that's good. I'm glad we know that. Hey Siri, remind me to ask Eddie to email me the Trinity Continuum core book.
Okay, I added ask me to your reminders.
Good robot.
Blessed are the robots.
Yeah, I got a couple pieces of it and was told that's what you'll need. So, but you know, that's why we have session 0. So yeah, that stands to reason. So you start off as soon as you get the quantum, you become tier 3, and if your quantum goes up to a 5. Oh, no, it's a 6 that you become tier 4. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
You just need to get the chalkboard math equation overlay just floating in front of faces as we figure all this out.
I love it. Any questions, Dixie or Ashley?
Not yet.
I have written down skills.
Rock and roll.
I think I got my skills down.
Sweet.
Working on the edges right now.
Oh, I wasn't working on edges yet because I forgot where they were. Well, because there's like edges and there's mega edges and then there's
right.
I don't.
All the mega stuff you would worry about after your character.
That's once we get our XP.
So if you go into the Trinity Continuum core,
yeah, I know where they are.
Character creation.
Yeah. I just don't know how many I get. I have to look at the thing.
So basically, we're building our characters as they were before their eruption, before they became
right.
Nova.
You build the baseline human, and then you add the Nova template to it. Cool. So if you were, by the same token, if you were playing a character that was aimed for Trinity, you'd build your core character, and then you'd add the Scion template to it.
So we already grabbed our edges, except for the finishing touches ones.
Skill-wise, I think.
Excuse me.
Oh, you didn't cover your skills and stuff?
No, I didn't. I think I mostly went into persuasion, command. I have like a 2 in aim and athletics. Nothing else worth discussing, like those ones.
You got a 2 in integrity.
Oh, yes, I do.
Thanks, the Onyx Path, for the link in my email. Yeah, and just a note, chat. Don't take my improper homework as inherent confusing nature of the system. You don't know what you don't know, so that's why you have session 0s.
And also keep in mind that a lot of us that are still learning this are literally learning this from test documents in progress. Like Dixie's been saying, these haven't even been edited yet. So the version that we're trying to work from is not the version that you guys will be getting in the end.
Right.
But having said that, though, the Aberrant Kickstarter is the best way to get your feedback in there. Get this stuff, get it at your table. Look at the parts that are confusing you. Because we do have, that feedback is incredibly valuable. Sorry, I'm just grabbing the core book that I now have, thanks to Ian, who is a lifesaver.
He sent it to me too.
I backed the core stuff, so I'm all set. I'm just waiting for my physical, which then I will truly absorb, because I apparently have better reading when I also has osmosis going on at the same time.
That's fair. The ink seeps into your body and conveys what's
That's how the knowledge transfers.
You
I
see,
just
I
thought if
printed
it gets
this
left
out.
in the bathroom long enough, the entire house learns it, and then we can all just share the information.
There you go. It's a good plan. I see in chat approximately 2 billion have suggested a scale chart, and I solidarity. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, the thing about a scale chart that we have talked about a little bit is just making sure that nobody thinks of it as absolutely set in stone.
Right.
Because scale is mostly a narrative device. Like a car might be scale 3 for speed and a human is scale 1. Therefore, you cannot outrun a car. However, if you're scale 3 because you're a Nova in speed, then you can run as fast as a car. A skyscraper might be scale 6. Kaiju might be scale 5 or 6 or whatever, but like it really should be narrative, so it kind of needs to be on the fly sometimes, which is why like if we do a chart, it's not going to say like you can lift 300 pounds. It'll say things more like you can throw a car at this scale. So it is very much a narrative device. I know a lot of folks hear scale and they see the numbers associated and think it's like a hard and fast thing,
But
it's not.
But can I throw a Hyundai or a Cadillac?
And that's what we want to avoid.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna show my gray hair here a little bit. There was a game that part of the reason I was so excited to get the chance to run Aberrant on here. I mean, obviously I loved Aberrant first edition, but also when I was like 16 years old and already had a kid and had dropped out of high school, like a good overachieving American child, I would have my daughter for a week at a time, and then the weeks that she wasn't with me, she was with her mother, I would go to Denny's about 10 o'clock at night, and I would chain smoke cigarettes and drink coffee, and I would play Mayfair's DC Heroes, which is a dead system, doesn't exist anymore. But it was one of the finest superhero systems I'd ever encountered. And I fell deeply in love with it. I loved the media. I loved the way the system worked. And what they had done there was, in their system, they had what was called benchmarks. And everything was kind of like an exponential increase. So you could roughly eyeball, like, this is closer to AP6 or AP7, but it was not set in stone. You would never run into, can I throw a Hyundai but not a Volvo? Clearly it states in page 47 of the rules. You wouldn't run into that so much. So keeping that in mind for these things, I think, is important, because at the end of the day, our core mission with this system is to give you a vehicle for telling stories, not so much a number crunching exercise for throwing cars around.
I prefer it much more to the old the original superhero game that I played was the old Marvel color chart.
I'm sorry.
Do you remember that freaking chart? It was the most daunting table next to the old to hit tables in like first ed.
Yeah, it was like a slightly more annoying THACO.
You needed an abacus and a calculator just to keep track of it all.
I'm turned off. Wow.
It was pretty. It was a pretty color chart.
Yeah, the old phase rip system. I like the tricks though. That was the fun little thing that I.
So how many edge points do we get?
You get 2 per origin path.
Trick?
So 6 edge points total.
Edge, right? Sorry.
Yep.
Well, 2 to spend in each path. They have to be spent on that path's edges, those 2.
Right.
Okay.
And then after you've done that, you get 4 more that you can float anywhere you want, to any path or to even edges not in paths. I'm waiting for someone that, is more connected to it to tell me I'm wrong. But everybody's just looking at me like, yeah, that's right.
Well, no. So I'm looking at the example character creation that Eddie did recently in the Kickstarter updates. And yeah, I think it's only like 4 dots total that he took, I thought. Or no, here it is. Oh no, you're right. It is per path. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah, it's 2 for your origin, 2 for your
Okay,
society.
Yep, I'm looking at it now. I was doing it wrong again because I can't read apparently today.
That's okay. We're here to help you.
Learning experiences. They help us grow.
Oh, hi, Neil.
No.
The only reason we know more than
A random person on the street right now?
is because we spent like 3 hours last night looking over this.
I think I dreamed about it. I had. I was looking at the Word doc while dreaming. Not the actual, nothing cool, nothing cinematic, nothing worth putting on Netflix. Just like the Word doc and me being like, type.
Well, hopefully you got to start somewhere. You have to start with dreaming the mundane, and then we get to the explosions. That's the plan.
So, like for example, edges wise, I took always prepared, big-hearted, hardy 2, iron will at 1, and library of trauma medicine at 1.
Awesome. So
Those are just putting the 2 into each one.
Be very good at drugging people.
He has research materials on how to do that.
I definitely imagine a lot of bone setting sloppily. Like you're gonna want to see a doctor after this, but you're
emergency medicine.
Right.
That's the focus.
Well, you don't want to swallow somebody with your quantum stomach mouth while they've got like a exposed compound fracture. That doesn't sound fun.
That's not sanitary.
Honestly, it depends on how the quantum stomach mouth works.
It just doesn't.
You can literally add the phrase "it depends" to anything that includes the word quantum. Oh, awesome. There's chat starting a band. Now we know that we have a successful Twitch channel because
you guys have made it.
Chat's starting a band. We can all go home.
Yeah.
Pick your feet up.
You succeeded.
Wait, I'm already home. What do I do now?
It's going to be a short trip.
Yeah. But that traffic.
Indeed. So, yeah, like I said, I would highly recommend. Yes, definitely look up Gluttony FMA clips, of course.
I was going with like Stitches from Blizzard stuff or Pudge, the abominations from World of Warcraft.
See, like my first thought when you described the character's concept to me was you remember Beastmaster? Remember those things that had like the weird, they didn't have a mouth on their face, but they had like these weird, like, I always fuck this word up, patagia, like the fucking skin under their mouth or under their arm, and then they would suck people in and eat them.
Yeah, I remember
that. I'm fine. That's nice.
I mean, I was thinking originally like he could absorb somebody by touching them. I thought, how do I make that grosser?
Right, where's the fun in that? Yeah.
But I also wanted to be like like role play wise, he's probably going to be the softest boy ever.
Cinnamon roll.
Just absolute like just sweetheart. He just wants to help people and not be hated.
Dumpster fire.
Yet he's called Dumpster Fire.
Poor Dumpster Fire.
I love it. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, I should probably let you all know, by the way, you are employees of Connor's Loss Management. Which is run by the CEO, Connor Connors.
Of course it is.
Getting that 2 first name thing down?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The 2 first names with the same initials? Yeah.
First names with the same name.
He was, at one point, an employee of the DeVries Agency, which is a elite's talent agency in the world of Aberrant. But he parted ways with them to go into business for himself when the CEO told him that an insurance company specializing in Nova-based damage was a terrible, stupid, awful, would never work idea. So he shook his fist and said, I'll show them all. And went and started his own business.
Ghost is nicknamed Connor. Connor's Con Man. What's up, Con Man?
Might not be the worst nickname for him. Oh, you know what though, Tragedy Jones? I just saw in chat that you've said DeVries is rhyming with fries for 20 years. I am really guessing that it's pronounced DeVries. I learned almost every word that I know that has more than 2 syllables just by reading it. So I will probably mispronounce virtually everything throughout the entire tenure of my existence. So it's possible I'm mispronouncing it. Say Arun. I say Arun. That's how I say Arun. Oh, I should probably just not. I probably shouldn't just say whatever chat says for me to say.
Oh, it's a dangerous game.
Oh, yeah.
He says anything so long as it's in the teleprompter.
Chat will start messing with you, believe me.
Arun. I've heard a lot of people say Arun. I've heard Arun. Arun is not pronounced butts.
Totally is.
This is the quality I came for. Butts.
Stay away from those wires.
Our cat is slowly eyeing the back of the computer. She's like, look at those stringy wires. Ooh, we're just nervously darting our eyes back over at her, don't you do it.
Cool, Barun.
Are we just gonna pronounce weird words for the next little bit? Is that what we're doing now?
I'm just giving you a minute to find your bearings.
I've been done for 2 minutes. Y'all were talking about weird words.
Okay, so
I've been texting my boyfriend, just hanging out.
I was waiting for you to tell me that you were done.
You were talking.
I can wrap up my edges shortly. I feel like I'm super close on it, but I've got a couple more floating points, but I can come back to that. I don't want to hold up the entire flow of everything. I would like
to ask Chad a favor while Ashley continues her work, to please clip me saying that feel free to interrupt me anytime that you'd like, no matter what I'm talking about, especially if it's something not important. And just put that up for future reference.
And then clip out the following statement, which is that I'm Southern and also worked in retail for 20 years, and so I am incapable of doing that.
I love you, Dixie. I'm sorry. All right. Okay, so moving along, the next step in this this barrel of fun that we're having in creating our characters is our attributes. And those are created basically. There's an intersection that you have. You have your approaches, and then you have your arenas. There are 3 approaches, which is force, basically confronting something head-on within the arena. Finesse, which is a softer, subtler, wittier approach. And resilience, which is basically tenacity, sticking it out. And then the arenas, which would be familiar to people who've played other D10-based systems, are your physical, social, and mental. And so when you're generating those... I lost my page. You will select... I believe it's 642.
Yeah, it's 642.
And that breaks along arenas, correct?
Well, it's 642, and then you get to add more to your favorite approach.
Right.
It's weird because I've done Scion character creation recently, so parts of this make perfect sense to me.
And other parts make none whatsoever.
And the other parts where I'm I haven't read this in a year and a half. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, it's 642 among the arenas, so physical, social, or mental. And then you pick which of those approaches you think your character is going to be most reliant upon.
And if you're not using, and you also get 1 free dot in each.
Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, you always start with
you always start with 1 dot
Yeah.
in each of those.
It's just not marked on the character sheet that I have. So
1 dot in each, 642, then 1 dot in all of the approach.
Right.
And then when you add your quantum, you get 1 more point in any approach.
Are we following the steps, or are we doing as many things as
we're
possible?
following
the steps.
Following the steps. Let's not get.
Because like the quantum stuff is like template application.
Yeah.
I was making sure we weren't.
Let's not jump too far ahead here. It's Shamase. I don't care what anybody says. No.
Okay.
it's Miche if you're me.
Zimitsi is me.
We used to say Zamis, but that's because I live close enough to
Are
Chicago.
arenas them as they're pictured, like as the columns?
Yeah,
Like
so
intellect, cunning, resolve.
Arenas
are your physical, social, mental.
Nothing on my sheet says physical, social.
Oh, so
that's where I'm running into.
So
Yes.
mental are intellect, cunning, resolve. Physical
Okay.
are might, dexterity, stamina. Social are presence, manipulation, composure. Sorry, they're not labeled.
Awesome. No, that's cool. I was just like, it was 642.
642. Yep.
642.
And the first dot of every one of them should be filled in. Throat wobbler mangrove. Every time I look at chat, I'm just gonna say something random that's in it. I don't want to tell you what throat wobbler mangrove sounds like because I don't want to get us kicked off of Twitch.
I will say from experience, you can get away with a lot on Twitch, but if it's story-based.
That's fair. Ah, yes, 90s White Wolf, the most reliable of sources. Back in the days pre-Google.
There's actually a really funny video that was taken at one of the White Wolf events like a couple years ago of them going to like all the writers and devs from Paradox White Wolf and asking them to say that word. And they all say it differently.
I'm certain they do, yeah.
Oh, also another thing to keep in mind while doing your attributes, nothing can go above 5 during this stage of creation.
Right. No single one.
We can go up to 6, but we can't go above 5 right now. It even specifically says if it would take you over 5, move it to somewhere else in your approach or your...
In the same arena.
Yeah.
All right, rock and roll. Is that all hammered out then?
I got mine.
Yeah.
We need to redo Cassandra's because I
The
applied it
arena we
via
got?
approach.
No, go for it.
642, we did along approaches instead of arenas. Okay,
Somebody just mentioned the Masquerade Cyberpunk 2020 mashup. Wasn't that in like a issue of White Wolf magazine?
Ian will know. Ian is our historian.
Somebody can correct me on this jet stream, but I believe the concept behind the advantage of having a favorite approach versus pooling the points and just putting them wherever is to encourage you to because when you're initiating, you want to take an action, it's to try to encourage you to think in terms of your approaches as opposed to thinking in terms of like, I'm gonna roll dex plus shoot plus aim because that's my high dice pool.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's more of a narrative tool.
Yeah, just about everything that we did with StoryPath is meant to encourage the narrative play versus just min-maxing or trying to, be the best at everything. So with favorite approach, what we were trying to do is really say like your character tends to approach things with finesse. So they tend to approach things with might. So you're a character that just runs in and starts throwing punches might approach things with force. Or even a character that just uses a lot of yelling to get their point across, might be approaching it with force versus somebody who tries to really like finesse a situation or tries to make sure that they're manipulating a situation to their advantage. Once again, versus somebody who does a little bit more caring about themselves, resilience kind of thing. Like they try to stand strong in the face of all danger. So it's giving your attributes a way to inform your character play.
No, it's fine.
As well as just what, you're going to roll.
Right, and kind of sweet. And kind of also, giving a system reward for thinking about things in a narrative context, if that makes sense. All right. Then you have your final touches. Does Cassandra get her?
We're still doing attributes.
Yeah.
I had to do mine and then swap the document over to do hers.
No worries. Go ahead and get that buttoned up. Dixie, are you done with your attributes?
Yeah. Once again, attributes, I can do that all day.
All right, rock and roll. And James, you've got yours, correct?
Oh yeah.
All right. So next up is our final touches, and this is where you will get to calculate your health and defense rating. If you haven't spent those 4 extra edge points or the 6 skill points that you got, now it's time to make sure those are spent. I believe you will all have 3 levels of injury unless you have stamina of 5. And everybody's defense is a 1. So that makes that easy.
All right, we'll do the extra stuff on another side later. I can do the finishing touch stuff. That's easy and probably best done after we've gotten all of our powers taken care of too.
Sure. I'll allow it.
To apply the template before you get to finishing touches.
Oh, hey. You do. That's weird. I mean, it's not, but you do. Like I said earlier, don't go in assuming you think you know things from the previous edition. Yeah, you do your finishing touches after the template. Because it used to be, back in my day, we spent our freebie points before we spent the Nova points.
I'm feeling the snow both ways.
All right, so getting to the Nova template, here's where the rubber meets the road and the fun part. Everybody got a sheet of scrap paper?
Once again, I wasn't told I needed that.
Or somewhere to type notes, somewhere to do math, wherever that might be.
I have a computer in front of me.
That'll work.
Yes.
Some people don't
Prepared. I was like, yeah, I've got scrap paper. And then he mentioned math. And I'm like, and we're doing this on the computer.
Yeah, some people don't like doing that on the computer. I'm just saying. All right. You each have 150 experience points. So make a note of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to add the following to your character. You have a quantum trait of 1. You are considered a tier 3 character, so you can just make a note of that. You can add 1 dot to 1 attribute in your favorite approach. And you can choose either a dot of the fame edge or the alternate identity edge.
We both went with fame because hard for me to hide being a big lad the way he is.
I was going more of a governor's daughter kind of thing.
Like the path contacts that we picked out, she went with all like political connections, corporate board members, government officials and stuff. And I went with like the wholesome, like local fire chief, EMS dispatcher.
I just assumed we were all going to be really boring since we're working at an insurance company, so I didn't go with any of that shit.
Well, remember, you were headhunted. You could have been, fun before you wound up working for an insurance company.
It could have been fun before.
Wow.
You could have been fun before, but now you're just a sad, sad human. All right, so there is a table in the materials that I sent you that you can track your experience costs. It would be in Chapter 3, Reborn in Fire of the playtest documents. It's got a nifty little table just for keeping track of how much things cost. You also do have the opportunity to save some of your experience points by purchasing certain powers with transcendence, which is if it gets as your transcendence raises, you become less human. So if you have like,
I thought that was such a cool system when I was reading about it.
it's pretty nifty.
Terrifying, but cool.
So you can save some experience points at the cost of having slightly less human traits, making you slightly off kilter to other people, and sometimes having visible aberrations.
Like a mouth
Like
on
a
your
mouth.
stomach.
Now,
Special clothing.
He likes coats.
Oh my god.
Big coats.
You
Stuff
want to
that-
think you're a flasher, dumpster fire? No!
stuff that opens. Yeah. So now, Dixie, you were talking with the powers that you were looking into. You had discussed wanting something along the lines of phasing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just looking through to see what our options are in that.
So here's a question. Where would I find a list of mega edges?
They're in the chapter 6 powers section for Aberrant. All the mega edges, mega
Okay.
attributes, all that stuff is in there.
All right. And those things tend to affect scale, things along those lines. I'm just looking to see. One of the great joys of working with a superhero system is trying to figure out how they are choosing to name certain abilities. Like, do you happen to know offhand what they call the phasing power in here? Is it dispersal? Is it phasing?
Yeah, it's, I want to say, hang on, I found it earlier.
And Cassandra, based on what we were talking about your character earlier, I think elemental mastery and elemental anima are the ones you'd want to be looking towards.
Yeah, it is literally called phasing.
Excellent. Yes, you want to make sure you spend enough to raise your quantum to at least a 2. And that's kind of one of the things that I would recommend doing in general when you're shopping for your powers, is look at what those powers are, look at what the quantum minimum is for those powers, and buy your quantum up to be sufficient. That quantum is one of the most expensive things to purchase. You want to make sure you can sort of cover what those powers do. And you had phasing, and you had also talked about. Did you want to do some sort of like a hexing thing in a Scarlet Witch sense, or more of like what kind of powers were you looking to tap into with that?
Not sure at this point because I'm trying to read them.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And now the deniability, Ashley, that you were talking about.
Yes.
That's a mega edge. Or is
Yes,
that
it
in power?
is.
Okay. Yeah. So just make sure that whatever prerequisites it might list, that you purchase those first, so you can afford them.
Overwhelming denial requires mega composure, which I have already purchased.
Excellent. And just look at if you look at the top of the section on mega attributes, it talks about what your quantum minimums are for those, as well as what your attribute minimums are.
Okay.
And James, did you pick out your powers?
Oh yeah, I'm working. I just realized that I have more points than I thought I did, because mega speed is not 1-for-1 dots, which is great.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
We will do our best to behave, Ian. He's probably already gone. But... All right, Ian's gone. Everybody be... No, don't. Don't get me in trouble on day one.
But day one's the only day you get forgiven for. If you don't screw it up today, you never get to.
It's valid. Yeah, I see a couple people in the chat talking about their breakdowns for their old Aberrant characters. I used to love to spend all my points in like skills and backgrounds and just be like super good at everything, but not like superhumanly good at anything. That was kind of my jam. Kind of a Batman type character, I guess. Which you can still do. Yeah, like the mole, absolutely. Like the mole. The mole is grounded. You cannot go out and play. Not that mole. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up through chat. While everybody's kind of looking through powers, does anybody have any other questions or concerns they wanted to bring up in the chat or among us players? I also do want to remind you to go and back Aberrant on Kickstarter so that you can get a hold of the manuscript. You could be creating a character with us right now. You could be in your own franchise of Connor's Loss Prevention.
Okay. So I'm done with spending XP applying the template. So
How are you done with that?
I'm good at math.
I'm good at math too. I'm excellent at math, but I've only been able to pick 2 powers so far because there's too much stuff on here.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I have a pretty decent quantum. I have warp, I have mega dex, and mega speed because that's what I wanted.
Warp is a PowerPoint eater too, like in a
Yeah.
bad way.
But anyway, in finishing touches for gain bonus traits, it also says to gain a bonus point in any attribute. Do you still get that even in Aberrant adding quantum where it gives us an additional point there as well?
Yeah, because that's drawn from your template.
Okay.
So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. I don't know that we're going to dive too deep into techniques tonight. I'm sure we'll see those in play a little bit more. Partially just due to time, you know.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time coming up with how I'm going to make the mouth.
What I would recommend doing, I mean, you took transcendence to get aberration. Is that what they're called in this edition? To get your mutation, right?
Just like so transcendence is the thing I'm going to take before anything else.
Right, and that will effectively give you the mutation that creates that. If you want it to be permanently there, and you want it to be something you can't turn off, and you want it to be something that...
I mean, I think pretty much.
Okay. So really what you're kind of doing is you're creating almost like a pocket dimension, right?
Yeah, he's got the idea is this is a giant mouth on his stomach that he, and I'm thinking like he's like kingpin proportions sized guy.
Sure.
And when he does eat things, I mean, he obviously is a big guy, but it just can't fit. Like, like it fits. Obviously, it's bigger on the inside. He's got Time Lord tech and stuff.
Right, you're a walking TARDIS.
Yeah, but moist. Let's
Really?
see.
That's what I come back to?
Yep,
Moist?
moist.
Ugh.
Oh, we should have a
Thanks for
disclaimer.
snapping me out of what I was reading without it.
Ugh.
We should have a disclaimer. This channel may include the word moist. Speaking of, while I'm flipping through this list of powers and trying to figure out the best way to tackle this, just wanted to do a reminder that in the pre-roll, we have a schedule posted. We're going to have content all week long to sort of celebrate our kickoff. And then we're going to start doing some new shows after Gen Con. And I would assume I'll probably be making an announcement about specifically what those are and when those will be running at Gen Con. So if you're there, come to the Onyx Path panels.
Pretty excited for one of those.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And you should also, if you're watching this channel, we will be hosting, starting this Saturday, we're going to start hosting the Devil's Luck Gaming Pirates of Bloodwater on Saturday nights. And we will start hosting the Roll the Roll Gauntlet of Spirigos on Sunday at 1 EST.
It is 1 EDT.
EDT, yep.
Yeah, we're in daylight's time.
We got called on that earlier.
So I was thinking possibly a combination of transformation and warp.
I was gonna say warp is probably a place that I would suggest going with that.
But how do you create the mouth with warp?
That's what the transformation is for. But it's the transformation is more of a permanent thing, and the warp is, I would probably take some reduced range like tags, like negative tags.
Right.
To make it so that he could only warp things that he mashed into said mouth.
You could take shrinking that you could only use on other people.
Other things.
You should have little Polly Pocket sized people bleeding out in your flesh pocket.
Looks like shrinking only affects the Nova.
Yeah, I think that's more
Right,
Ant-Man.
I believe you can buy the tags.
Tags are growth momentum and limited strength.
Right, but there's also the long list of generic tags.
Oh, that's right. Mm.
So it'd be an impose only shrinking.
I'm definitely getting some old Mutants and Masterminds flashbacks of power creation.
Yeah, so
not,
we're talking
not bad ones, just
right. No,
I gotta learn to the new set of systems, new set of rules for it. That's
finding
all.
some ways to massage things, or you could, So what about? I guess you do warp, and then you'd have like maybe a quantum field, right? That quantum field narratively could exist in a pocket dimension, right?
That's what I was thinking of.
So you're generating the warp that goes into the quantum field because they're protected while they're inside you, right? They can't be harmed realistically.
Yeah, they only get moist on the way in and the way out.
Right. So
the rim.
Oh.
Sorry.
If I'd known it was gonna be that kind of party, I'd have brought some mashed potatoes. No. So So yeah, it would be impose warp with a quantum field.
Okay.
That would be usable on others. So.
All right. So let me
And
make
then
note of that, because right now I'm making more notes for what I'm going to like completely flesh out number wise and make sure I've got everything right.
No, that makes sense.
Plus
Makes a lot of sense.
our Word document has tables. That's a good start. We definitely got to do some cleanup.
I mean, maybe you want the area tag on it so they can hit more than one target inside at a time.
Ooh.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're creating a larger area on the inside of it, basically. I would personally rule that dumpster fire's life is what's maintaining that power. Chat had asked.
They regurgitate if something happens to him.
Yeah,
or
I think
do
everyone
they-
dumps out.
Right. So like if he were to get croaked, or possibly even get knocked unconscious,
I'd say just knocked unconscious,
Just-
everything flows out.
he would just projectile vomit like this geyser of people and building parts and whatever he might have.
I'm taking
stumbled
absorption too.
Personal ambition, I really want to see that happen. I know that's terrible.
No. I'm gonna take absorption too.
Are you putting impose only on the mouth warp stomach?
Yeah.
That way it can only be used on others and never on you?
Yeah.
And
No,
you-
that's absolutely it. Like
and you
I'm
wanna-
putting the restrictions on this so that it is gonna function the way narratively you would assume it would function. I can't pull some kind of Looney Tunes crap and crawl into my own mouth.
So I think you should pull some Looney Tunes crap and you should keep pushing, right? That way when you regurgitate them, you push them like super far, like you throw them up across the city.
Oh,
that
you
sounds funny.
Just take-
and just
take like
mortar
a
shot.
miscellaneous weakness where you have to like shove your fist into the mouth before you can get them out. Like,
Oh no.
I'm picturing it's like, hey, can you like stretch your jaw and turn it inside out and walk through the wall? And it's like, I'm not a bag of holding.
whatever we do, we don't shove James's character inside.
God. We're gonna get one of those portable holes in a bag of holding situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I can't find a good tag for warp, to be honest.
Feeling.
In terms of what?
Just anything that really modifies it. I mean, I guess range, but it already has its own rules for range.
Impose is a good tag for it. There's clear is a warp specific tag, so you can see where you're warping to. That's handy. I'm sorry, Dixie.
Yeah, but they're
Well,
I was just responding to why someone said I looked so serious. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read these powers. Like,
Nope.
I don't know what's happening.
What were you
I'm
saying?
definitely also taking absorption so we can swallow fire.
That's handy. That's handy.
So if you absorb...
Radiant. He can swallow
Okay.
radiant energy.
So here's a question for you. On warp, it says for each additional point of warp or dot in warp, I can apply one of the following. I may apply one of the following. Are those permanent, or do I just get to pick every time I use it because I have more dots?
No, it's you choose those when you purchase the power.
Okay.
Is my understanding of it.
I mean, I could see it either way based on how it's written.
The stage rendition of Dark.
So- Close range is literally on top of your person. It's essentially a touch range.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so
Which is-
I'm not touching range.
And
I don't know how many points in scale I want and how crazy that's going to be. Just see him walking over to a truck and just
Ah.
chomping down slowly on it.
I say whatever will get a building in.
Just belly flops on top of a fucking Chrysler building. Just
Well, yeah, I mean, Sam Sapdak, I believe, is how that's pronounced. Is we're effectively looking at different ways to sort of reskin warp to fix this, but also to make it kind of cool and make sure it's not going somewhere, millions of miles away, stuff like that.
That's why I think having it be a quantum field, his little stomach dimension that he has.
Right.
So
And what
my
was up, Ashley?
quantum trait is 1.
Starting, yes.
Starting as 1. Is that something I can spend experience points to increase?
Yeah, that's right on that experience chart.
It's
Okay.
16. It's
Okay, I see it now.
points per dot.
Okay.
And you
Gotcha.
can you
Thank
can reduce that if you take it if you take transcendence points for each dot that you buy, the cost is halved.
Okay.
Base power.
You don't have, and you can only do like if you want to just do one that was transcendent, but buy like 3 dots, you can do that.
Gravity.
Okay.
And then only 1 dot gets the benefit of transcendence.
And you're buying other powers.
Right.
So you
in
have
terms
to
of the
buy
cost.
transcendence for every dot you want to have, correct?
Right.
Okay. I didn't even look at transcendence. I may be able to half my maths. Oh no.
All unhitched from each other.
So what does quantum minimum mean?
Quantum minimum is the minimum that your quantum rating has to be in order to take the power or ability.
No, so I have to be quantum 3 to take warp. For
Isn't that like the
example.
really expensive?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why warpers are easy to build because you run out of points real fast.
So if you can find another power that does what you do, it's probably cheaper.
Well,
So
I think
even
I
though
have a lot
molecular-
of negative tags on mine, so it's going to drop the cost.
Right.
So even though something like molecular manipulation, for example, it only costs 1 quantum point by itself, but it requires that I be at level 3.
It's
Cost is like while you're playing using your
Okay.
points mana.
Okay.
right, because
You have 10 quantum points plus 5 per quantum dot.
right,
Okay.
and those are
So at
spent
quantum
as
1, you have 15, quantum 2, 20, and those are what you pay for your power. It's kind of like a mana bar.
Okay. Okay.
Do
Yeah,
we
I
have
think-
anyone who's covering healing?
healing.
Who needs to heal? We just stand behind dumpster fire.
Don't worry, I'll get you to safety. Climb in.
Oh, no, this is the worst bus ever.
Seeing as I walked into this with very little concept already planned, I could go the healing direction. It just makes sense to have the thankless healer because nobody remembers to thank her.
Oh God, that hurts my soul.
As somebody
Oh
who
man.
was a raid healer in World of Warcraft for 10 years, I feel
Yeah.
that pain.
I
thing-
just picture her in the background going, "You're welcome."
The thing that's extra funny about that too is the likelihood of the party just thinking that things weren't as bad as they looked. Like, what were you whining about? God, you're fine.
What'll be interesting with your character too, Ashley, is that I have photographic memory.
Oh, true
So-
friendship.
We'll see if that applies to you, and if it doesn't, that will be very funny. Because I'll be like, "Why is this one person the one person I can't remember their name?"
But no, you've got
You never buy enough
Right,
snacks for the
so,
office
like,
meetings.
I know you. I know all the crap we've been through. Is it Jill? No.
Carol?
Carol.
I mean, and depending on how extreme we could get with it, I mean, you could have like a Big Bird Snuffleupagus type relationship, where
Everybody thinks you've made me out.
I'm like, "No, Ghost, she was there, like at the fight," and they're all like, "What are you talking?" She healed you. You had a giant hole in your neck. What are you... They're all like, "Are you okay?"
Did you hurt your head? Did you need to see a healer?
Oh, Liminal, you're so crazy.
I'm
love
liminal.
it.
I'm in between. What's the problem?
I love it. I am here for this.
I'm just gonna give myself a shit ton of mega edges.
I'm for it.
These are all way cooler than the powers I'm looking at, aside from the 2 powers I took. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I would recommend too. If you got the powers that you want, right? You've got that bit handled, and you got some points left over to spend. You can never go wrong dumping them into mega edges and mega attributes. That's a good way to just stay within your concept. Get those
It adds
points
so much flavor.
out of the way and give you just kind of cool things you can bring to the table. So, not to be horrendously distracting, Connery, because I know you're in the
did we
middle
really
of...
put a power in this book called Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
I am so mad right now.
Of course.
I just put my name in this book.
I was reading through it,
Wait.
and like the start of the chapter, they posted the Scott Lang quote going, "Do you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything?" And then like 12 pages in, I'm like, lampshading it doesn't fix it.
See, what you should do if the presence of Quantum Leap bothers you that much, Dixie, you should just use Scott Bakula as your pseudonym for the editing work you've done on this particular project.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Oh man.
sorry, I'm not trying to distract or just derail you, Connery, because I know you're in the middle of like mental math and whatnot. But did you and Cassandra work out? Was it elemental manipulation you're looking at for, or elemental mastery you're looking at for her powers?
Yeah, probably the environmental, and then adding the techniques afterwards.
Okay.
To expand on it.
I just wanted to make sure that you have an idea of what you're going to do going forward, because I know we're doing a lot of
low-key graviton.
Right.
Yeah, bring that down a little. Definitely, I'm trying to think of also like in terms of just group synergy to get an idea of what everyone's doing and make sure that we're not like missing anything super important. Like we definitely have, someone who could talk to people, someone who could patch people up, someone who could pick things up. Like, are we hitting all our niches here?
You could throw a shield, like a gravity shield into the mix, and that would give it like a.
If in terms of utility, if you guys think that would be useful, I could definitely look into getting that in.
And I think that's something that you could squeeze in with a technique in that power as well. Like I think
that's a construct or.
Ooh, gravity constructs. That'd be interesting. Making Green Lantern constructs, but with gravitic forces.
I love it. I think that's.
And you can shape them however you want.
Oh no, you guys don't want that. Oh, that's dangerous.
I was gonna jump out of this burning building to safety, but the only thing that came to fly to fly toward me was a giant gravitic dong, and I was afraid.
I thought it was a rabbit. I don't even.
No time to explain. Get in.
See, that's what another thing I love about the concept of doing these, insurance adjusters is all of the potential one-liners. I think are going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun. So far, nothing has blown up, Ian. So I think we're.
Except that I got real mad about Quantum Leap being an actual power in the book.
Right. Dixie almost quit. Like,
yeah.
just
not just the stream, just quit.
Right, just quit Onyx Pad, like flipped her desk over.
Yes.
This is all prep for the con. Maybe it's not going to be Gen Con. Maybe it'll be midwinter, but at some point you're just going to. I'll be sitting on a panel talking about Twitch, and then.
It's gonna be like the shoe moment, just from the back of the room, just flying.
So mad. I wear really big shoes too, y'all. Like big platform, like
giant raver boot comes flying at me.
Yeah. Goth, not raver. Do not ever call me that again.
Ooh.
The crossover industrial.
Now, the crossover is actually a terrible, terrible subgenre called graver that we hated in the early 2000s.
Ooh.
They wore the big pants and they were all black, and then they came to the goth club with their glow sticks and then almost hit us with them. We were trying to dance. It was a whole thing.
That's like the entire cast of the video for Marilyn Manson's cover of Tainted Love.
That's a good video.
It is a good video. I'm just saying, fashion wise, that was.
Sorry, I feel really attacked because I definitely grew up in UFO pants.
Oh no. There's a difference between wearing UFO pants or Jinkos, which I totally did, and hitting people in the face with your stupid glow sticks on strings at a very small dance floor. Go do it in the courtyard. There was a whole courtyard at the goth club. Go outside.
Get outside.
Do not stand 2 feet from me and swing hard plastic things full of gross chemicals near my face.
Personal space.
The more you know.
Public service announcement. Dab, don't wipe. Okay.
All right, so put a note in there that I wanted to add some kind of shielding capabilities for you guys.
Yeah. So on that note, we are sort of creeping up towards the end of our scheduled time. So I just want to make sure folks that we've session zeroed with here, do you all feel like you have enough information to make you dangerous? You think that you'll be able to get this sorted out by start of game?
I feel really dangerous right now because I'm reading about healing and I go, beyond that, even Nova powers cannot restore a dead body truly to life. And I'm like, truly? All right, where's the necromancy in here? Sounds like in here.
Remember, necromancy is not evil. It's just late healing.
Exactly.
Very late healing. Yeah. Don't
You
don't
weren't
try to,
using it anymore.
don't break somebody down for the way they choose to raise their family.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I have I still got like a couple points to spend, but nothing like major. I'm
Okay.
up to like 130 at this point, so I'm doing all right.
And so, in terms of, we've been over kind of the no-go zones. We've been over the mood that we're going for. Obviously, we're going to have some fun and do some screwing around. Dixie's going to get mad and yell at me. I'm going to cry.
Don't cast me like that.
No.
I'm nice. I was just frustrated. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's good. I'm glad we were able to get the kinks ironed out, as it were. So
I'm an overachiever, so you have to give me all the materials so I know how to get a perfect 100 on anything. That's the problem.
Wow, I feel
girl
like
sane
I'm
and but like I said, that's why we have session 0 to find out. Oh, I didn't bring all my books to class this time. So I have some reading to do before Thursday as well. But I don't expect that it will derail anything. So if no one has any questions, either narratively or system-wise, for us to go over in this session 0 environment, we'll plan on Thursday, same time, same channel. We'll be returning here for the beginning of our actual play. Yes, Cassandra?
How long have we all known each other? Like, how long have we been working together?
That's an excellent question. I know that Dixie had indicated that Liminal was going to be kind of the new kid. Now, did you want to literally be the new kid or just have that new kid excitement?
I just mean that she's probably going to be younger. Like,
Okay.
I pretty much have her as being right out of college. So she probably got, headhunted out of college, essentially. So she may have worked there for a few months to where I do know the people. But, like, she's bright and shiny.
Okay. And Connors isn't going to be that long of an extant place anyway. It's probably only been around for about 6 months. So,
Yeah. So I could still be one of the first employees and just...
right. And still have the new kid.
I'm just young. I'm just young and
Right,
excited and yeah.
I don't think anyone knows Ghost.
Oh,
Who?
There.
Literally
Like, how
first
many
person
times
hired, though.
Like, I was first in the door. You don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Like, I just imagine her showing up to work each Monday and finding out that somebody else has moved into her desk again.
the refrigerator. Someone's always
Picture her putting like a lock on her cubicle just so that they stop emptying it out. People just think that's a storage closet. And she comes out and people are like, whoa,
Oh,
do you live in there? Yes, I live in there.
beautiful. I love it.
Kind of figure out what our general, like if anyone knew each other beforehand and stuff
Sure.
like that. So we have an idea of what our familiarity is when we do start. And
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
how famous is everyone?
I think I'm at 2.
You're at theme 2 because you were going with the whole like related to like a political figure.
Yeah.
I took alternate ID, so no one knows that Liminal and my character are the same person.
Well, I have fame 3, so
Ooh.
Right on.
I went with alternate identity, but I figure her alternate identity is still her and it just doesn't matter.
I love it so much.
Her alternate identity is the person that she periodically is confused for.
Actually, clarifying question, Travis.
Sure.
Were we hired here as Novas, or are we just working here?
No, so the core premise is that you were hired for your Nova abilities. You've been put together as a team to work together. I'm glad there was a warper that somebody made. Thank you very much for picking up that particular role, because the idea is that you're a first responder team. So when you get the ring that, say, for example, Pax and Divismal are beating the crud out of each other in downtown Chicago, you guys need to go make sure the Hancock building doesn't get knocked over.
Okay. I can
So-
change mine to fame then, because I thought that working at the insurance place was my cover identity, and no one knew I was a Nova.
I mean, you could
Based on your
totally,
summary.
you can totally go Hong Kong Phooey with it. Like,
I don't know what that means.
God.
oh, you never saw Hong Kong Phooey? So he was a superhero that was also a janitor at the police station.
Yeah.
So he worked there, but he also interacted with them. So like you could be like, like just an office worker that's also secretly part of the team, and only yourself and maybe Connors know about it.
The fact that
Okay.
I'm going to be the only one in the
I mean,
group
that's an
have
option.
that it makes me kind of feel like maybe they're like, you guys all have like a fan following, and there's conspiracy theorists that are like, hey, there's this same chick that keeps showing up in all of our photos and videos. Who is she? And people investigate and they can't find her, but
That's kind of like
they talk
idol.
to her, but they can't find her.
They're looking for the code.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
fingers are they holding up and down?
I love it. Yeah, I mean, whichever. Like I said, in terms of how you want that to interact with, in terms of having a secret identity, that's entirely. If you want to do something where like you have a cover identity there as a standard employee, and then you also have your Nova job there, that's cool. If you want to do something where, even where you work there and you're in just your baseline identity, and then show up as a Nova when things get frosty, that could happen too. I mean,
That sounds a lot
you
harder.
know.
I might just give myself a really low fame because I'm new.
So my
That's fine.
character's just over all this shit, right? And the private sector offered him a whole lot of money to do basically what he was doing for the government.
I love
And
it.
he decided, if I'm going to do it, I might as well get paid.
I'm just changing mine to Fame 1, and then Ghost can be the funny one that no one knows who she is.
That's fair.
Also, speaking of Hong Kong Fooey,
I love that.
might be
Best
a little insensitive.
segue ever.
It might be a little insensitive in today's market. So if you've never heard of that and you look it up,
I mean, that's fair, right?
it's a little insensitive.
Listen,
It was a different time.
listen, everybody. Come here and sit down, and let's have a conversation real quick.
Oh, what have I done?
Cartoons are fucked up, and have always been fucked up.
I just looked up Hong Kong Fooey, and the last episode aired 11 years before I was born.
That's the end. That's the end of the conversation. Cartoons are fucked up.
Yeah.
There's some
Best
stuff.
transformation sequence ever, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In
There's
through the
some
top drawer, out through the bottom drawer.
No, I loved it. I loved it as a child. I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize how
I feel like
problematic it was.
that's probably how Dumpster Fire, only he goes through one side of the dumpster, not the other.
I love it.
Can we put like a post sticky on the dumpster outside and pretend like it's this cubicle as
No.
casing?
Y'all, it's Heavy Rescue.
See, he's gonna be
Nice.
so nice. You're gonna feel terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He really, he's working here solely because he wasn't allowed to volunteer because they didn't want him. But his Nova ability got him hired, so now he's trying to prove that he's the best firefighter, even though he's not allowed to be a firefighter.
I love it. I love it. I love somebody who has something to prove and is a nice guy, because that's going to be an interesting thing to portray.
Like Choji from Naruto, if you've ever seen
Oh.
Aw.
Oh. All our weeb hearts just went out.
Yeah.
We just identified ourselves in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh no, they know now.
That's fair. All right.
So I
Did you
think
have
as
any?
far as character creation goes for me, I'm done other than now applying all the maths correctly to get more points to have more things.
Sure.
Yeah, I might poke at Transcendence once we're done, but that'll just be a couple little adjustments. I've got most of it down. I
I'm
need to
not
define my
completely done,
aspirations
but
too.
I know which direction I'm going.
I was going to be Transcendence 0 until I learned that being so powerful in quantum automatically gives you Transcendence, and I thought, well, I'll just embrace it.
The only place where I found Transcendence was in the powers section where it said quantum and transcendence. So I need to find where
It's
It's
in
character
chapter 3.
creation.
It's
Yeah.
in chapter 3. You go all the way down. If you buy quantum of 4 or higher, for every point you buy of quantum at 4 or higher, you automatically get 1 transcendence. And
Right.
then you can choose to gain 1 transcendence anytime you buy. And that's something I'll need to ask.
There's a certain list of things you can buy: quantum powers, mega attributes. You can buy those dots with transcendence, and it costs half the XP.
Okay.
So basically, you're taking on more transcendence and therefore more mutation, more aberrations.
It
to get things
says
at
a Nova
cheaper
can
cost.
purchase a Nova trait, then it lists what you can for half the normal experience cost if you also take a point in transcendence at the same time. Is that per dot, or if I buy 4 dots all at once, do I half the whole thing
No,
and only get 1?
It's per dot.
Per dot.
So
okay.
if you buy 1 dot of quantum. For example, with transcendence, you pay half the cost, but your transcendence goes up, which increases your aberrations, so on and so forth. So you should realistically buy a whole bunch of your stuff with transcendence, because having a giant mouth in your gut is probably like a level 6 aberration, right? Like
At least.
Special diet requirements and everything.
Physiological shift.
I mean, that's
levels. It's a transcendence 6 transformation.
Yeah, you can do up to 5 without it being too crazy. You get like weird eyes and a weird halo, which is what I have.
I'm really not like I want him to, like the mouth is the thing that I was going for.
Well, yeah, but I think that it would be fair that would be your, like, if you went to Transcendence 6 and your thing is I'm a sizable beefy dude who has a giant gaping maw in my torso, I'm fine with that being your your only mutation.
Like it went enough, you know?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, then I think if everybody's good, did your question get answered, Cassandra?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm definitely more of a fluff focused person, so I just kind of wanted to know where we were when we did start our next episode.
For sure. And like I said, mission statement is we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna blow some shit up. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna cry. It's gonna be great. Yeah. So I think that's probably about. We're like 12 minutes over, so we should probably do the end of the line run through. Just a reminder: Aberrant is currently on Kickstarter. If you back it, you can get access to all the stuff we've been chattering about for the last 2 hours. Let us know what you think of it. Let us know. You can hit us up on social media and be like, dude, you said this and you were totally wrong, dummy. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm sorry. So
not me. I will argue with you on social media. Even if I will get into a huge fight. Like me and my boy Fight Owens fight. He's never answered me on Twitter, but I totally just rip him all the time. He just doesn't know he's losing. We'll be main eventing WrestleMania next year. It's fine.
There you go. Definitely be sure to hit this channel tomorrow morning. It's in the end roll that you'll see, but I think it's 10 a.m. EST. I'm talking V5 with Matthew Dawkins, and then we'll be back here Thursday, same time, to run session 1 of our Aberrant game. And we've got a whole schedule rolled out for the rest of the week that I don't have in front of me. So definitely be sure that you're tuning in. Make sure that you have followed the channel so you know when we go live. Hit that little bell for notifications. We're going to be kind of all over the place. That is going to be posted online. Ian, if you're paying attention, it would be awesome to have that be like our static, the schedule be our static image.
I just realized that I don't follow the Onyx Path on Twitch, and I probably should.
You should start that.
I just assume I'll know what's happening.
Sweet. Yeah. I literally, I've made a couple jokes on my social media over the past week about flinging myself off of a cliff and then building a plane on the way down. Mm-hmm. Getting the information together for the pre-roll on this stream was like that scene in in Avengers when Tony Stark flies out of the building and is like, I got to build armor on my way out. Like I literally slapped that together like minutes before we went live. So apologies for the shortness on here. This has all come together very quickly, but I do want to make sure that I am thanking our guests, Connery, Cassandra of Devil's Luck. They will be streaming Scarred Lands, Pirates of Bloodwater, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST, right? EBT, right? Mm-hmm. Check their show out. It's brilliant, amazing. They have amazing costumes and the best backdrop I've ever seen on a Twitch show.
I love that match so much. You have no idea. I'm not tired of being happy about it yet.
So
I love Scarred Lands. I can't wait to watch that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll be hosting that here, and you'll be able to watch it there. We're going to start doing some cool. We have a bunch of stuff planned for the channel. I'm really excited about some cool giveaways. Just tons of way too much for me to talk about when we're 15 minutes over. So, short story long. Tune in Saturday night, 8 p.m. EDT to watch Pirates of Bloodwater.
Did you say short story long?
Yes, I did.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I love this so much. I'm gleeful.
You can have that one. It's all yours. And then James with Roll the Roll. It's 1 p.m. EDT, correct? Gauntlet of Spiragos on Sunday?
Correct.
Yeah, so don't miss any of that stuff. We're going to have the schedule posted online and all your favorite social media stuff. Follow us. Love us. We love you. Thank you so much for hanging out. And we really do hope to see you tomorrow morning as I talk with Dawkins, and back here on Thursday for some... we're going to dive right in. We'll start things off with a bang, I promise. So we'll see you guys soon. Everybody do the awkward wave while I bring up our back soon.
Which